When the seagulls follow the trawler, it is because they believe sardines will be thrown over. Thank you.
Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another Friday episode of the Audio Files. It is Andy, it is John, and we are here to do what we do every Friday, which is give a listen to one of the songs one of you lovely listeners offered us up in a comment, in one of the comments field from one of our previous videos. In this case, we will be revisiting a band that I am very familiar with, so John is going to be the one to go off and listen to it, and it will be the Mountain Goats, which we've done a couple songs from in the past on this channel, and the track by them will be one called Animal Mask, and it was offered up by Ashley Johnson 9651 on one of those previous Mountain Goats episodes. Specifically, it was the track This Year, which I believe was the last song we did by them, which was frankly quite some time ago. So John, I assume that your familiarity with the Mountain Goats is just based off the tracks I've given you in the past. Is that correct?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, here is another perfect excuse to go off and familiarize yourself with another track by them. So please go off, give this track Animal Mask by them a listen. I'm sure Ashley Johnson 9651 is interested to hear what you have to say, as am I, and anyone else who happened to click on this episode. So please go give it a listen.
Dude.
Two, two, three, and. 18-man steel cage, free for all. Through the noise I hear you call for help. You can't protect yourself.
Interesting. Okay, so it's a nice beginning, the old count in. I have to say, I really like the thumbnail. It's kind of old school in terms of like that illustration. Yeah, I really like it. It's kind of familiar as well in terms of the style. It's a bit like sort of Love and Rockets, isn't it? Anyway, and the referee does look like Eric Cantona. Brilliant. So yeah, and then that acoustic guitar comes in, and it just sounds lovely. It's a really nice tone to it, and I don't know why, but it just immediately made me think of Paul Simon and his songs with or without Garfunkel. Have that lovely tone to the acoustic guitar coming in, and then we got a steel guitar coming in as well, and this sort of rickety percussion that sounds very much like a sort of empty freight train clanking its way across the prairies or whatever, or perhaps just coming out of Nuneaton. I don't know. But yeah, and the vocal delivery, it's really kind of, I don't know what the word is, benign. Is careful, and there's not a lot of sort of emotion to it. It's more sort of, there is a sort of warmth there, but a very careful sort of curated delivery of the words. Interesting. It is a super short song, so let's go back and start again and see if I can get some of these lyrics.
Two, three, and. 18-man steel cage, free for all. I hear you call for help. You can't protect yourself.
So I got that 18-man steel cage free-for-all. I don't know. Something's telling me it's about wrestling. I can't think what it is. Do they have steel cages in wrestling? I'm not sure if they do. I'm not a big follower. Steel cage makes you think of MMA, particularly UFC. But I'm sure they did something. Was it called Battle Royale? Something in the wrestling? I've got vague ideas of this. But yeah. And it is about, how you call for help and you can't protect yourself. But again, there's not really a huge emotional dynamics to the delivery of this. Yeah, interesting. Let's see how it goes.
Frog mask and yellow cape.
Yeah.
So desperate to escape, I came to you. Hands wrapped in adhesive tape. That was when we were young and green. In the dawning hours of our team. Some things you will remember. Some things stay sweet forever. Seen you backstage once or twice. Animal gimmick pops real nice. Elbow sweep and tiger dance. Little extra fighter's chance. Hold on, I cried, I'll be right there. Pull your mask down through your hair. They won't see you, not until you want them to. That was when we were green and young. Battle cry rising from your tongue. Some things you will remember. Some things stay sweet forever.
Was short, wasn't it? I was expecting more stuff. There's bits in that I really liked, and other bits were kind of a little bit not flat, but just didn't do anything. It wasn't bad or terrible or anything like that by any means. So yeah, so I get from that, it was repeated, some things you will remember, some things stay sweet forever. It was kind of like the chorusy type bit. And there was quite a nice sort of bouncy keyboard line going through that motif. It's almost like a quite an electric piano, but sort of organy sort of sounding. It was really pleasant, and a very sort of kind of Sunday afternoon TV, that sort of warm feeling with a little dab of tweeness to it. I mean, it could be a real danger of being just like a basket of platitudes. But it definitely sounds like something that you get at the end of a Michael Landon TV show. Yeah, but it has a nice wholesomeness to it, I guess. There's obviously something else going on with it. It's not just the wrestling. But he did say about how he hold on, I'll be there, and pull your mask down through your hair. They wouldn't see you until you want them to. It made me think of obviously within the wrestling, as a British person growing up in the 70s and 80s, Kendo Nagasaki. Um, He had that weird fucking tattoo on his head as well, which no one knew about until he was demasked. Um, yeah. But perhaps there's something else in terms of, I don't know, identity or how you relate or belong or sort of, yeah, within society or community. It feels like that bit's more of a personal connection than the others. And there was a little bit more in his voice when he said, hold on, just a touch, not, wasn't going overboard. So that felt more personal. Um, or it could just be a publicity stunt where somebody's getting into the cage as well and smacks him with a chair. Um, I don't know. But yeah, I really liked the musical side of this. Actually, when they went on a jams to, which we were, but when they went into the sort of the last 30 seconds or so, it was just instrumental. It had a really nice feel to it. Perhaps they could have done more to that or extended it a bit more. I don't know. But yeah, it was really enjoyable. Um, just a bit odd in the way the vocal delivery was kind of flat almost. I don't know if it's supposed to be kind of like fireside comforting. Not sure. I'm missing something, obviously, here. So we need to go back to the man who knows. And in this case, definitely it's Andy. He'll have done his research and probably knows his song as well. So the other tracks he brought to the channel. So let's go back and chop it up with Andy.
All right, so you have returned, John. What did you make of this experience listening to the Mountain Goats for what would be, I believe, your third time?
Yeah, before we begin, I would just like to say I really liked the thumbnail in this video, the illustration. Kind of old school. It reminds me, and I can't think who it is. I think I said in the action, perhaps Love and Rockets graphic novel, but it's not that. But it's almost got like a sort of Mexican-y, South American flavor to the style of illustration.
Mm.
And how pleased I was to see Eric Cantona being represented in the thumbnail as not many people know about his stint as a WWE referee during his 9-month football ban. But yeah, I mean, it's so funny because it doesn't look like him. And I just thought, give me a chance. I've just dug this out because I knew I had it somewhere. Do you know much about Eric Cantona?
No, I've heard the name before, but I don't know much about him.
So he was a French footballer, and he came across. I think he played for Marseille. I can't remember who else. And he came across and played for Leeds, and was the
Mm.
kind of catalyst for Leeds winning the title, the old First Division. The following year, it changed to the Premiership as we now know it, and in some sort of weird, bizarre coup. And there's lots of stories about Leslie Ash and things like that. But basically, the manager of Manchester United, Alex Ferguson, bought Cantona for £1 million, which at the time wasn't chicken feed, but still pretty cheap. And
Yeah.
then he was the catalyst at United for them becoming so successful and top footballer. Um, at a point in his career, he got sent off because he was um, temperamental Frenchman. And one fated night, he was sent off at Crystal Palace. And as he was walking towards the entrance to the changing rooms, a fan came running down from the stands and verbally abused him. And so he launched a kung fu kick straight and kicked he actually off his feet on both feet into the guy's chest. And then mayhem.
Missile
Um,
drop kick. All right. To stick with the wrestling theme.
yeah,
Yeah, I
it
believe
was
that's the name of
unbelievable.
it.
And he got banned from all football for 9 months. And there was thought he wasn't even going to come back, and he did. He did. We're getting a real cancel thing there. I will finish in a second, but he did the most famous news sort of press call where they're there wanting to hear what he's going to say about it, and he just sat there. He went, "When the seagulls follow the trawler, it is because they believe sardines will be thrown over. Thank you," and walked out. And it's just the coolest thing ever. And I have got this as well as a little memento. I don't know if you can pick this up, but there's a little badge of him flying into the fan and kung fu kicking him, which I wear with pride. Yeah. So anyway, lovely thumbnail to the thing. So the song is brought to us by the numbers 2, 3, and the word and then we get this homely acoustic guitar that opens up, and it has this lovely tone. And I'd said on the action, it opens up with a promise similar to a Paul Simon song. I think I'm struggling to think of another sort of artist, with or without Garfunkel, where you have this acoustic open to his songs and they just seem to burst forth with promise and everything. There's lovely, so there's a real warmth and a
Yes.
cheerful bustle to it as well. And it is joined in short order by a keening steel guitar and what I can only describe as rickety percussion. Um, if this percussion was a sickly character in a Charles Dickens novel, it would be wearing metal leg braces. The rhythmic clattering throws up in my mind images of locomotion and dusty, empty freight carriages. It has a lovely sound to it. Your man starts to sing, and he has a very benign voice, and it's much more keyed down as well. I don't remember it being as soft. Yeah, as soft as this. He drops the words into your lap like a very careful and benevolent delivery driver.
Hmm.
The words are very clear and very easy to follow. So it's just a question of how much I can scribble down and then how much I can decipher after having scribbled it down. So we get the opening lines: 18-man steel cage free for all. Through the noise, I hear you call for help. You can't protect yourself. So what's completely ignoring the thumbnail, my spidey sense is telling me this could be something to do with wrestling. Don't know where I'm getting that from.
It's a stretch, John, but
Yeah,
I'll go with
the
it.
steel cage really does make me think MMA, particularly UFC. But I've got this inkling that they use cages for wrestling as well, and I'm sure the wrestling we had in the UK just pales in comparison to the WWE. Well, I mean, it really is. I mean, it was just hilarious, terrible, comedic,
Yeah.
third, fourth, fifth rate panto with real bad homemade, sort of dress character. I mean, really nothing like the glamour and the thing of WWE. But I think I remember that wrestling had a thing called Battle Royale, which they used. And I think that's when they had loads of people come together. And I don't mean lots of dead Japanese school kids. Though the book's really good, as well as the film. Anyway, frog mask and yellow capes, desperate to escape. And there was something about adhesive tape and being young and green. But the frog mask, it was like a Pavlovian response. It just threw up mental images of Jack Black in Nacho Libre
Yes.
straight away. And then we have a chorus, which is some things you will remember, some things stay sweet forever. So I think it's of course because it's repeated later in the song. There's a bouncy line underpinning this, which I believe is a keyboard. I'm pretty sure later on, when you hear it, it definitely is a keyboard. It's not quite electric piano or organ, but it's in between all of those things. It's not quite nice sounding. There's a kind of wholesome tone to this, which also has a slightest dash of tweeness to it. Like Sunday afternoon TV, or The Waltons, or Little House on the Prairie, or anything with Michael Landon in. There is a danger of this becoming a little bit sort of a gingham-lined wicker basket picnic of platitudes if you're not careful. But it's sung honestly, so you have to take it at face value. But yeah, there is a undefinable. It's certainly a different tone to the sort of memory-based first verse. We go on to the next verse. I was expecting a bit of an instrumental break. There's only like two bars or 4 bars, perhaps. Then into the next verse, we talked about being backstage and about animal motifs, and then we do get a little break. Again, it's a very short break in the vocals, and then he comes back in with quite a strange stanza. So it's something about "Hold on," I cried, "I'll be right there," and he actually puts more. I mean, it's all a question of degrees, but there's a bit more oomph to "Hold on." It's not like he's belting it out like Freddie
Mhm.
Mercury or whatever, but it's definitely there's a change in the intensity of his voice there to a degree. Pull your mask down through your hair. They won't see you not until you want them to. So I wondered if this was about identity or belonging. It does feel more personal than the previous lyrics, more like a personal connection between the narrator and the subject. Almost like the narrator is a protector. I know he said you can't protect yourself and all this, no, but that this really feels more real rather than this scenario of wrestling, which may or may not be real. Um, and then I think, are they allowed in the cage? Is this a publicity stunt? Is just some idiot with a chair? Or is it a truly seismic moment like the unmasking of Kendo Nagasaki? UK fans will know exactly who I mean, and his weird tattoo on his head. But yeah, it's really interesting, and I don't really have the whole full context to understand it. The line about being young and green is repeated, and then the music drops for a more hushed and almost tender version of the chorus again. Some things you remember, some things will stay sweet forever. And that's the end of the singer stint. And we get rather brief. The keyboard comes back in even more and noodles a bit, and it's really pleasant. And the steel guitar begins to howl sort of into the distance, like some prairie dog or something. And that sort of jamming section, I say jamming, I mean, it was it 20, 30 seconds,
Mhm.
um, was really pleasant. And again, that could have gone on for a long. This is a very short song.
Yeah.
And then we get a very gentle finish to a very gentle song. So yeah, as a song, this is pleasant enough. I imagine from previous encounters with the mounted goats that there's even more to this than meets the eye, or indeed the ear, to this
Yes.
song. Um, but yeah, musically it was really pleasant. I probably preferred it when he wasn't singing, and I don't mean that detriment to his singing or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just it got into a little rhythm where you could lose yourself for a bit in it. It was quite nice.
Yeah.
I don't think the lyrics had much impact on me to say that this was unmissable, you know. But I thought it was really pleasant and enjoyable.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I appreciate your feedback, John, and I'm sure Ashley does as well. Yeah. This is, it's a really good song off that album. I don't know if it's my favorite Mountain Goat song. In fact, I know it's not, but it is a really good one. And I'm glad that we could get some of their later stuff on the channel. So, Ashley, appreciate you giving this a shout. I will talk a little bit about the band, kind of recanvas just a little bit about who they are, and then a lot of the material thereafter will be new to the channel, so we won't be rehashing so much. But the Mountain Goats are an American indie folk band formed in Claremont, California by singer-songwriter John Darnielle. The band is currently based out of beautiful Durham, North Carolina. And for many years, the sole member of the Mountain Goats was Darnielle, despite the plural moniker. Although he remains the core member of the band, he has worked with a variety of collaborators over time, including bassist and vocalist Peter Hughes, drummer John Worster, multi instrumentalist Matt Douglas, singer songwriter Franklin Bruno, bassist and vocalist Rachel Ware, singer songwriter producer John Vanderslice, guitarist Kaki King, and multi instrumentalist Annie Clark. Throughout the 1990s, the Mountain Goats were known for producing lo-fi home recordings, most notably on cassette deck boombox, and releasing recordings in cassette or vinyl 7-inch formats. Since 2002, the Mountain Goats have adopted a more polished approach, often recording studio albums with a full band. The Mountain Goats signed to Merge Records, home to drummer John Worster's other band, Superchunk, in 2010. This track we were offered to check out today by Ashley Johnson features on the band's 15th album, Beat the Champ, and their third to be released via the aforementioned Merge Records. Multi instrumentalist Matt Douglas assisted the group in recording the album and soon thereafter became a full time member. According to, get ready, John, Pitchfork Media, There we are. The album concentrates on the professional wrestlers Darnielle admired when he was a child and tries to develop and imagine their lives. The release is a concept album on professional wrestling, though frontman John Darnielle has stated that several of the songs are really more about death and difficult to navigate interior spaces outside of wrestling. The album has was announced by Merge on January 20th, 2015, after which the second track, The Legend of Chavo Guerrero, was released for streaming on the label's SoundCloud page. Shortly afterwards, it became available for pre-order, where the large number of orders caused the site to crash. The song received praise from Guerrero as well as his son Chavo Guerrero Jr., and Guerrero also appeared in the music video for the song alongside wrestlers Ray Rosas, Joey Ryan, and Ryan Nemeth. The second single and sixth track on the album, titled Heel Turn 2, was released on Merge Records' SoundCloud page on February 28th, 2015. The album was released in Australia and New Zealand on April 3rd of that year, in the United States and Canada on April 7th, and in Europe on April 13th. Beat the Champ received largely positive reviews from contemporary music critics. At Metacritic, it received an average score of 79 based on 24 reviews, which indicates generally favorable reviews. Several critics praised Beat the Champ for providing an accessible interpretation of professional wrestling, such that listeners not interested in the sport could still enjoy the album. Writing for Exclaim, Jer Farrell called the record yet another highlight in a career overflowing with them, in large part due to the group's sonic adventurousness, matched with Darnielle's singular presence as a storyteller and a songwriter. Despite being released in 2015, Darnielle and the Mountain Goats first performed the track in 2013 at the Newport Folk Festival, and he introduced the song thusly. In professional wrestling, there's a thing called a battle royal, right? It sometimes takes place in a cage, so the people won't escape from the battle royal until they've been knocked out. Okay, so I just got to go with the wrestling matches when I was a kid. There were not the big money game it is now. It was like people who needed to stretch their entertainment dollar as far as it could possibly go went to the wrestling matches. And so in a battle royal, allegiances form and dissolve rather quickly because you are trying to survive and get rid of the people who are against you, but to keep the people who are for you on your side, because you're going to see them later on down the line. And also in wrestling, there's a thing where people try and tear off the masks of people who are trying to hide their identity. This song is about a battle royal, and it's also about the labor and delivery room. Interesting. At a concert in Seattle in 2015, he would also note, this song is about how, from the moment of your birth, you don't owe anybody a look at your true face. It's called Animal Mask. And later that year, whilst introducing it on the same tour, he would say, this is a song about a battle royal that takes place in the labor and delivery room and is about shared victories. Darnielle would also introduce the track in 2023 while performing in Idaho by saying, this happens in professional wrestling. Doesn't happen in college wrestling or high school wrestling either. A thing where a guy shows up with a mask. At a high school, a lot of that plays down. But some guys have masks and you don't know who they are because they guard their masks zealously, right? And there's this incredibly intimate moment that happens multiple times in the career of every masked wrestler where somebody succeeds in pulling his mask off. This can go two ways. One is everybody who sees the person that they didn't know was under the mask and identifies them correctly as maybe a good guy or a bad guy. The scene I always had as a kid was they pull off the mask and you have no idea who that guy is. It's like, oh, well, there he is. This song is about masked wrestling, and it takes place in the labor and delivery room. Writing for Glide magazine, Mary Ferguson reviewed the album and wrote, "Some things you will remember. Some things stay sweet forever. The mountain goats sing on Animal Mask off their new record Beat the Champ. A quirky, lovable collection of oddball beauties. Champ is a record that's a joy to listen to from beginning to end. It's warm, but dark and simple, and yet intricate. An ode to old fashioned wrestling, as told through personal tales of love and loss. Nostalgia runs deep here, but it tastes bittersweet." Adding of this track, "The lyrics of Animal Mask perfectly encapsulate this feeling of longing for a different time. Frontman John Darnielle's sweetly clear voice is full of a kind of gentle pain. It's restrained, but you can sense it." And she closes with this: "Beat the Champ is a fascinating record from a strange and wonderful band. It's imaginative and original, and it's not something you can listen to absent-mindedly. The songs on Champ will make you feel things, and likely rustle up some emotions you've kept buried. It has that power, that intrigue about it. It's both personal for Darnielle, but also accessible to those who have moments from their own childhood that traumatized them or left them feeling jaded and sad. It awakens these demons in us, but cathartically, making them feel fresh again. But in a time when we've grown into untouchable adults." So, these lyrics. 18-man steel cage free for all. Through the noise, I hear you call for help. You can't protect yourself. Frog mask and yellow cape, so desperate to escape. I came to you, hands wrapped in adhesive tape. That was when we were young and green, in the dawning hours of our team. Some things you will remember. Some things stay sweet forever. Seen you backstage once or twice. Animal gimmick pops real nice. Elbows sweep and tiger dance. Little extra fighters chance. Hold on, I cried. I'll be right there. Pull your mask down through your hair. They won't see you. Not until you want them to. That was when we were green and young. Battle cry rising from your tongue. Some things you will remember. Some things stay sweet forever. So yeah, I think he wrote this after his first kid was born. So this is, I think, in a way, you could interpret the 18-man steel cage free for all as maybe the calamity of the room, and the doctors and nurses come and going, and the wailing of his, partner who is in the midst of childbirth, and he's equating that to what it is like to be in the hubbub of a, one of these battle royals that are going on. And I think like the mask is, you don't have to be vulnerable with everybody all the time. In fact, you can dictate when you in your life want to show certain people who you really are. And I think he even alludes to him protecting the child and helping them, keep that safe and personal. So I don't know. Interesting stuff. I don't have a kid, so I can't relate to this, but I do think it's really sweet in its own way, quirky way, definitely. But go on, John.
Yeah, I think that the metaphor of the wrestling and the labor delivery room is really stretched, but obviously it's powerful to him. But you talk about the melee inside that, but everyone's working to one common purpose, which is the birth of this child, as opposed to a battle royal where everyone's looking out for themselves.
Yeah.
It
At
really
least,
worked out.
yeah, looking out for themselves in the long run, because as he alluded to in one of his many explanations, there are these moments in battle royals where you build alliances that will then only deteriorate once the heels are thrown out, and all that's left are those who helped you in the lead up to it. But yeah, you're right. But
The other thing I'd say about was interesting about the identity, and particularly I'd say in wrestling, but in other things as well. How we found it with our crappy Saturday afternoon wrestling over here in the UK was the identity is the mask. When you rip
yeah,
the mask off, the person underneath doesn't fucking matter.
yeah, yeah,
And you're like, who's that? Because it's the mask is the identity, which Alan Moore explores in Watchmen as well,
yeah.
and all that. And it's just really interesting. that you want to see what's under the mask. But
But
once you
once you
do,
do,
you think, uh,
yeah,
who,
the wind
who
is
is,
pulled right out of the sails. You're like, oh, it's just this guy who looks normal. He looked a
yeah,
lot cooler when he had that frog mask on or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Rorschach in The Watchmen. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
same.
yeah. And then to lean into the lucha libre culture of wrestling or wrestling, it's always about like the honor. Like not only is it showing your face, but that with it, it is you throw all the lore and legend and respect of one who is masked out the window, which they, I don't know to what degree if they really do, or if this is just part of this story that continually gets told with every masked wrestler. But like the importance of it, they really revere the mask and the reason for wearing it. I think he's leaning into that a little bit cheekily as well here with this idea of, I'll protect you and all of this stuff. So yeah, it's
With the
interesting.
Nacho Libre, that sort of mass stuff to me also I always brings up about like bandits and the sort of the romanticizing of bandits,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
which is bollocks as well. But really,
Yeah. Yeah. John Darnielle is a really really interesting songwriter. I love him. I think he's a great songwriter. But he will you find he maybe it's a stretch at times, but he will find interesting allegories or metaphors and symbols through things beyond. I mean, he has that whole concept album about that horrible toxic couple that No Children features on, which is the first track that I gave you. So yeah, he's willing to let his mind wander and go off into some pretty interesting places for the sake of creating an album and then immersing himself in that so he can generate, 9 to 13 tracks that all kind of fit underneath whatever umbrella he's crafted to be like the vessel to tell those stories. So yeah, he's an interesting guy. I'm glad that we got another song by these guys on the channel. I will create a playlist now that we have three, and I will put that down in the description field affiliated with this message. So if any of you guys out there listening to this were intrigued by this song or perhaps would like to check out other stuff by them that we've covered, it will be there readily available for you. So, John, really appreciate you giving this thing a listen. And Ashley, I really appreciate you offering this up to the channel. So, thank you so much for that. And all that out of the way, guys, please let us know what you thought of this track down in the comments field below. I'd love to hear what y'all have to say about this. Also, please like, share, and or subscribe if you haven't done any or all of those things. Really do appreciate it. And hopefully, John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of The Audio Files. Have a great weekend, guys.